The current recession caused by COVID-19 is being coined a she-cession by some, as the impact has been primarily felt with women across all sectors. In an effort to support women-led businesses, the Northumberland Community Futures Development Corporation is championing a Reopen, Rebuild, Revive initiative that is offering performance-based contributions of up to 100% of eligible costs to a maximum of $5,000. Joining me to share more details on how businesses can access this help is Wendy Curtis, Executive Director of Northumberland CFDC. Thanks for joining me today, Wendy.
Well, good morning, Candace. I'm so glad to be invited to be here. Thank you so much.
So this is such an important program because, from almost the beginning of when, interviews that I've been doing since March with women in business, I am hearing the same story over and over again, that women are just disproportionately affected by this pandemic. Particularly, I am assuming you're seeing this for women-led businesses.
Well, for certain. And in fact, like you, I've been sort of keeping an eye on what's happening from women-led businesses, and for certain, they are more crucially impacted because of the pandemic generally. So this particular program that we're going to talk about today is very focused on trying to support them as they re-enter and reopen and revive their businesses. So it's quite crucial timing.
And I think that, we're all looking, there's been a variety of ways to access help through CERB and government programs and so on. So it's good to know that there are other options available if you haven't been able to access, one of the many that are out there. So let's talk about the eligibility for these businesses.
Well, first of all, what's really interesting and unique about this program, or fairly unique, is that it's a non-repayable contribution. And it's performance-based. So what that really means is that the client actually is eligible up to $5,000 for costs that will, there's three buckets of costs where they are eligible for. One is relative to PPE, non-disposable PPE. And these are costs that maybe they need to incur to open and refresh their business. And examples of that are the normal kinds of things that we often see, like plexiglass layers and so on, which are PPE related or workplace configuration related. But there's also clients that are looking at acquiring technology innovations like thermal imaging technology, which may take your temperature as you enter into their spot of business and help to increase safety, not just for them, but also their employees and also for patrons that may be entering their businesses. So there's different examples there, but the intent of the program is to address three areas. One is the acquisition of PPE, non-disposable PPE, also to reconfigure your workplace. And your workplace could be actually a storefront, it could be a Main Street type of stuff. It also could be your own workplace in your own home, because many women are working at home right now and they need to reconfigure some of their workplace in order to do that very, very well. And then the third area is providing access to hardware and software. It's more of an accessibility where you may need new software in order to execute a digital strategy that you may be undertaking, which is, in some cases, it's a pivot from a direct one-on-one patron. So lots of women-led businesses are moving to more of a digital strategy, and this will provide support for that as well.
So these businesses, do they have to be incorporated? Can you be self-employed? Is there sort of a definition around that?
You can be incorporated. You can also be a sole proprietor. You can be self-employed.
Okay. So as far as terms of a proof of what sort of business you have, what are you looking for?
Well, normally there's just a business number that is part of the application process. Okay. And so that sort of kicks out. I mean, in terms of what is the eligibility and what's defined as a women-led business, it's a woman who's either driving the direction of the business in terms of a management responsibility. It could be a founder, they could be a co-founder, it could be a CEO, C-suite executive, or an owner-operator. The sort of the commonality of all that is that there's a woman deeply involved in the strategic direction of the business, one way or the other.
Okay. So how much, what kind of funds do you have to disperse?
Well, okay, let's step back for a moment. We are executing this program on behalf of FedDev Ontario, which is the regional development agency for the Government of Canada in Southern Ontario. And we are working in collaboration with the Windsor Economic Development Group, and they have $2 million to do the southwest part of the province, and we have $2 million to do the southeast part of the province. And so we're both responding to two different geographies, but with exactly the same program.
Okay. Can you tell me then what your geography is so we have this clearly defined here?
Well, you'll find it on our website, by the way, which is financingandstrategy.com, but specifically, it would be east of the GTA to the Quebec border, inclusive of Ottawa and Kingston.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about then, you have here that you have to clearly tie your proposed project to the objectives of the program. So you want to make sure when you're applying that you are clear on these objectives, correct?
Yeah, well, that is the tip that I would give to anybody who is applying to any program that we execute, and we execute many. In this case, $2 million is a lot of money, and with a maximum of $5,000, there's provision for anywhere from 360 to 400 recipients, depending on how many we actually get. Because of that, it's a highly competitive field. So as the program was launched 3 weeks ago, and on our online portal, we're able to watch and monitor the activity. And so at this time, there are somewhere in the works of between 350 and 400 applications that are what we call in the works, where the proponent is developing them. They don't always conclude it. So, but the point is that it's a competitive field. So my best tip to people that are interested in applying is make sure that you clearly outline whatever it is you want to do, whether it's the acquisition of new PPE, or whether it's workplace configuration, or the hardware, software, and internet accessibility opportunities. Make it very clear what you would like to do within those. And that's just a little bit of a Wendy tip on how you can strengthen your proposal to make sure it has the strongest opportunity to be selected.
Okay, and so there's a scoring then, and you said a scoring helps remove barriers. So can you explain that to me?
Well, generally, the client should outline on all of these kinds of things. How will this investment remove the barriers for them to revive or reopen or strengthen their business? And there's fairly heavy weighting on that. Again, it's on our website so that people can be very clear about what the strengths will be in their proposal, how it helps the business to recover in a sustainable manner, how it may embrace technology or innovation and to be more efficient or more effective in what they're trying to do or accessing new markets, and how it impacts current jobs. So that's the published scoring. And so think about that when you're filling out your application about, be sure to the best of your ability on how you can strengthen your application relative to those things as well.
Okay, so for tips and how to do that and all of these details, can you please say the website again where people can find this information?
Yes, it's www.financingandstrategy.com. Now, there are a couple other ways you could find the information. You could also just Google Northumberland CFDC, which is my organization, and that will link you over to our website. You could also go to FedDev Ontario website and Google RE3 is what it's called, RE3. But you can find it anywhere. And it's just my best advice is just Google it if you don't recall the website. Or you can go to our Twitter feed. It's there every day. We're also working with multiple partners throughout Eastern Ontario to try and get the message out. So many of them are also actively promoting as well.
Okay, wonderful. And so this is open then until the funds are gone?
That's correct. It opened about 3 weeks ago, and there is big uptake to date, and the momentum is growing. I personally estimate that it's probably open until, you know, mid-September, based on this rate, maybe a little later, maybe a little less. So I urge women-led businesses that are evaluating different opportunities like this to move quickly, rapidly, and get your application in there as quickly as you can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do everything I can to get this information out to women in Ottawa, Kingston area. It's such a great program, and I know that some of these costs are prohibitive for people, especially small businesses. So this is super helpful, and that it doesn't have to be paid back is also wonderful.
That's great, Candace. Thank you so much. I mean, it is performance related,
Yep.
meaning that you know, the client would go into a contract with us if they're selected, and we would monitor them. We also have an option if cash flow is tight that they can also ask for an advance on the money. So that's not, and a very healthy advance too. So we encourage, take a look at what you need, what all we're trying to do, and all we're trying to do with our colleagues in Windsor, as well as FedDev Ontario, is to help these women-led businesses resume their trajectory of growth and their involvement in our economy. So we're here now, so let's go.
Wonderful. Just what we need. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.